Oh, hello again. Welcome to a very special episode of Cartoon Chatterbox. We've been talking about this for years, but it feels like a pretty good place to start. We're finally discussing the nominees for the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature.
Yay!
And
Yeah,
Academy Awards, not Golden Globes. Sorry
No,
for those who prefer
we
those.
don't care about those. This is a real, and I'm glad we started here because this is a really solid class. Probably the best since 2015, I'd say.
It's been a while since we've had a year with like no Disney representation. It could
Well,
have.
there is Elemental, but
Well, yeah. Well, like Disney Studios, the animation guys.
the animation canon. Yeah, I get it.
I mean,
But there's a little something for everyone this year.
for sure.
And also, congratulations to everybody who got something at the Annies. Released the Wile movie.
Yes, Coyote versus Acme. We are going to plug this movie until they cave.
And
Yep, I did it. I did a tweet of it before we got started.
Yep.
speaking of the Annies, as a little bonus, do you guys want to throw on Mutant Mayhem?
Oh yeah. Mutant Mayhem. I saw it. It was good.
Yeah,
I have an honorable mention if you don't mind.
go ahead.
Well, okay, two, but the Mario movie, of course. But I also really liked Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget. Like I rewatched
that. I probably should.
I have
Huh?
seen the Mario movie because I have the ability to breathe, and everyone who breathes has seen that movie.
I was talking about Chicken Run. I saw the first Chicken Run. It held up, but I haven't seen the second.
Like I actually rewatched the sequel last night, and like it's still really freaking good. Like I was surprised on how much I liked it as much as the first one.
Yeah, it does rub me the wrong way a little bit. How it's like some of the voice actors were just like kind of glossed over and not really asked to return for no real reason other than Mel Gibson. I understand with Mel Gibson at least.
Yeah. But like when I saw them, they quickly grew on me. In fact, I almost kind of forgot times that they were replacements.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
But Mrs. Tweety came back. Mrs. Tweety's voice came back. That was good.
Yeah.
that was good. But anyway, we did briefly discuss Elemental last time, so
Yeah, so
I don't know if we.
I guess much like how it turned things around at the box office, have our thoughts on it changed at all? Like since then?
Not really. It's still pretty good. Low tier Pixar, but still watchable.
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
Honestly, I'm in the same boat. Like, I understand a lot of the issues people have with like the world building, but I try to ignore that because like it's one of those things where you kind of have to come down to the story on its level and appreciate what it's like going for. And really the main focus is the father-daughter relationship and figuring out the best way to follow your dream and, you know, still be able to respect your family, even if that's not exactly what they had in mind in the first place. And I do think that was a very well done part of it. And surprisingly, the romance was not the main focus, even though the trailers tried to make us think it was.
Yeah. Man, the advertising for that movie was not great.
Why do you think
Yeah,
it did
like,
so badly?
A story about two lovers from different sides. Lion King 2? Yes, Lion King 2.
Thank you.
Yep. Also, the one element that permeated this whole movie is oxygen.
Oh.
Oxygen's a building block of water. It is part of the earth. It is in the air we breathe, and fire is nothing more than the combustion of oxygen.
And since we're talking about elements, I'm just gonna get out of the way that I'm not watching the Avatar Netflix show, so don't even ask me what I think of it.
I'm waiting for the Kyoshi movie next year.
I'm definitely watching the animated film that they're making, where like they're all young adults.
I had an Avatar joke for Elemental, but I couldn't say.
Okay.
But I think we go on now to. Should we start with the big favorite, the one that looks like it would win on paper?
All right.
Might as well.
So
Spider-Verse
Spider-Man.
2. And it's kind of weird that we haven't talked about the original Spider-Verse, because that one was a landmark.
Yeah. I guess we might as well like talk about it a little bit.
It was the most influential animated film since the Lego Movie, probably even since Toy Story.
Yeah, you
I would-
can definitely see its influence, even in one of the other nominees. We'll get to that.
I would probably argue that the influence Spider-Verse has had on animation was overall a bit more net positive than Lego movies, because after Lego movie, everyone's like, oh, well, we can make product placement films now. And then we got the Playmobil movie, which is like a cinematic disaster.
But also the Animalogic studio kind of went bankrupt, so we didn't really get too much follow-up on it.
Probably because that Ninjago movie was really, really bad.
Yeah, but the original Spider-Verse is pretty good, and it's an adaptation of a very messy comic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is proof, everybody, that comic book adaptations aren't bad because they don't follow the story. In fact, the best ones tend to do their own. They tend to do their own thing.
Right. If they'd done a straight adaptation of this storyline, you would have hated it.
I'll take your word for it.
And oh my gosh, like Shamik Moore, like people do not know like this guy's humble beginnings, because he is an incredible voice actor in this. But I was first introduced to him from that very short-lived sketch show that Cartoon Network did during its CN Real era, and he was like one of the Incredible Crew, and he was one of the kids in that, along with Jeremy Shatta, who most people know as Finn from Adventure Time.
Yeah.
Wait. Is it Sunday Pants? Is it Sunday Pants?
I think so. Well, the skit that I most know him for is when he's like that annoying guy you sit next to in an airplane.
Yeah, that one got memed. It got memed even before Spider-Verse.
Really?
Because that was actually a funny thing, and now he's actually in something really, really successful and lasting longer than 4 episodes.
The Spider-Verse, I think, did something really important. It captured the expressionism of CGI. CGI have been trying its best for years to look real, to make things more hyper-realistic and drive itself to doing all the live action stuff. But CGI Spider-Verse was like, nope, you don't have to do that. You can go all out. You can change things. You can even match the comic book aesthetic.
Yeah, honestly, I'm so happy with that, because it's that is the influence that it's had on animated films after, to not be as focused on realism, because for the most part, realistic animation, it has a lot harder time aging as well as stylistic ones. And the only realistic style animated movie I can think of off the top of my head that still looks good today is Rango. But not every film is as beautiful as Rango, so
Right.
I think the way they got out of it is that all the characters were animals.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, but Spider-Verse was able to match the aesthetics, and it was able to sort of codify the multiverse storylines in a way that made sense. But what helped is each character had their own art style. That's something you can't do in live action. Distinguish them by their art style.
And if they tried it in live action, it would probably not look very good.
Right.
God. I do not want to think about what a live action Peter Porker looks like.
It would probably still be voiced by John Mulaney, though.
Probably.
Yodajax?
It's funny you bring up Spider-Ham, because it was one line of his that made me know that this one was going to be something special. You want to know what it is?
You got a problem with cartoons?
Actually, it was after Miles' uncle dies, and all the other characters are bringing up that they feel the same way as him, and that I'm like, okay, Spider-Ham is probably gonna say something silly, they're probably trying to lighten the mood a little bit, and maybe a little bit inappropriate, but maybe it'll still be funny. But he goes, Miles, the hardest part about this job is you can't always save everybody. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be one of the greatest films in animation history, just for that line alone.
Yeah, to have
way more mature than most.
Yeah, to have the comic relief character of all people be the voice of reason. That's
And funnily enough, there was a leaked part of the script that we found, and that line of dialogue was kind of reworked, because originally it did have a sort of joke thing there where he was talking about how I don't remember exactly, but it's my dad got fried to a crisp. He was so delicious.
Yeah, but I'm glad they changed it because it made the comic relief like more human. It was kind of like it was like Genie or Olaf and that kind of thing. Like they give him like more to do than just being like more than just spouting jokes.
And it's also one of those things where even if you don't find the humor funny, like, but that being said, like, this is a very funny film, but even if you don't, like, the presentation of it is still like so incredible that you can just be like, oh well, I can at least appreciate that, and it like makes the kid jokes like more bearable in comparison to more like standard looking movies that usually come out like
and
from
also,
Illumination.
We don't have to know everything about comics, but pretty much every frame in this movie contains some sort of reference or joke to the Spider-Man lore, so it's one that benefits from rewatches so you can catch all the jokes.
Oh, and by the way, if you told me that Kingpin was voiced by the same guy who did the Storm King from My Little Pony the movie, I wouldn't have believed you.
It's funny how that came out in the same year too.
Yeah.
MOP came out the year before.
Yeah.
Wait, did it? Oh, oh, I'm an idiot. Sorry.
That's fine.
Look, that doesn't matter because you know what it's all about, guys. It's about the Mets, baby. Let's go Mets, go! Come on, let's get a home run, baby. Yeah, go Mets.
Of course, Spider-Verse won animated feature in a landslide, and surprisingly, it was the third animation to win the Hugo Award as the best sci-fi movie of the year.
Wow.
Cool.
The other two are movies we've covered on this podcast: Incredibles and Wall-E.
Interesting.
That's a pretty elite company to be in.
Yeah, and let's not forget, it gave us one of the best #1 hits of the 2010s with Sunflower.
Yeah, the longest consistently running top 10 hit, I believe, unless that record's been broken.
Oh, it's been shattered. But it did tie the record for a while until Post Malone. Yeah, Post Malone actually broke his own record with that.
Leave it to him.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, second biggest hit of 2019, 11th biggest hit of the decade.
It was the last track on my debut album.
Oh yeah, and
help us with 3 chords.
Yeah, the fact that there is an actual #1 hit with the words "Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse" in its official title, that's awesome.
That shows staying power. That was able to break through in multiple mediums.
Feels as jarring as seeing all these Has Been Hotel songs being in the top 100.
You think Hideaway will break into the Hot 100?
Maybe.
That'd be hilarious.
Yep, but of course, the movie was actually a financial hit, despite what the naysayers might tell you.
Yeah, they're just like, people are so... They think that things have to make $1 billion in order to be a success nowadays, but that's only because of movies like over-bloating their budgets. And Spider-Verse didn't need to have that big of a budget. It was all about like the talent, more so than the technology. It was one of the
highest-grossing animated films of that year, and so there was obviously going to be a sequel. They do everything bigger. I think it's the longest I think the sequel is the longest animated film made outside of Japan.
Yes, the longest Western film by far. There's like, it's and not even close.
Right.
Okay, guys. This is gonna sound really surprising time for me, like, cause from a lot of podcasts, I often give praise to a lot of sequels. Sometimes I even think they're better than the original, but not for this film. Like, I do still really like this movie, but I'm like, I just kind of like the first Spider-Verse a little bit more.
That's fair. I can see where people come from with that, because there is. I think that this has like way more to offer than the first one. Like, it goes bigger in like the best way, and it's like one of the most like impactful and like I think just like important animated movies we've ever seen, with just how crazy they get with the animation styles. But the one glaring issue I can absolutely see like making this harder for people to enjoy until like the third film comes out and ties everything together. But like until then, I totally understand why people would prefer the first one, because of like that one glaring issue, which we will get to later.
Yeah, I thought I would have liked to see a little bit more of the side characters from the first one. We get a few good nods, including, I think Penny Parker's cameo stole the show.
Oh, you know what? We might as well talk about. Did you guys have a favorite cameo? Since this is like basically cameos the movie, but Spider specifically.
Right.
I know this is like I know this was probably made just I know this is like just in the film, like we didn't see this like in any other point, but like I love the Spider T-Rex.
Oh yeah, that's an actual thing from the comics, by the way.
That
Really?
Like,
that
yeah,
is
but like I want to see that real. That was awesome.
that is definitely up there for me.
Not really a cameo per se, but I did appreciate how they included spectacular Spider-Man footage in the main scene because I just finished that show.
And Josh Keaton did actually cameo like during the scene where all the Spider people are like confronting Miles.
Yeah.
And
I gotta say, like, so yeah, go on.
my favorite cameo would have to be Insomniac Spider-Man because I am a very big fan of Yuri Lowenthal's performance in the games.
Oh yeah.
And like that legitimately did like catch me off guard too, because he was actually in like his PS4 model, just plopped in the movie.
Yeah.
And just and also shout out to Donald Glover, just vibing.
Yeah, that's my favorite cameo, just because of how out of nowhere it was, even for a movie like this.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's in live action too.
And we had the Venom and Lego cameos as well.
Yeah, the Lego. I love that one because Lord and Miller worked on both, and they did make Lego Spider-Man sets, so it brings things full circle.
It almost,
Yeah, like-
the way it was animated, it almost felt even more like stop motion than the actual Lego movies. Like,
Right.
I almost thought it was. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it is.
Yeah, like they even got like I think did they have like a PlayStation 1 Spider-Man in there? Because like I really love how they get the graphics down for each style too.
Yeah. Oh, freaking with Spider-Punk, like, apparently it took a lot of the production of the movie was like completely focused on perfecting his visual style, and just like by far took the longest out of anything, and it paid off absolutely.
Oh, and
Right.
I also really like how like Peter Parker, like the one that's kind of like a mentor. I like how he's now a daddy.
Yeah, that was nice. I'm glad they brought him back. It
No-
brought to anchor it to the first one.
It is normally a very annoying trope when just like an annoying baby is thrown into a movie, and it's looking like Despicable Me 4 is going to do that, but it didn't feel very intrusive here, luckily, and it was meant to service how Peter's character had grown from the first one, and giving us that touching scene of like when Miles felt like a son to him, he wanted to be able to like pass that on to his own kind of kid, and
Yeah, like
that's so sweet.
I also like. Sorry, yeah, like I also like when he's with Mary Jane and they're watching over their daughter. I'm like, that was also a really nice scene.
Oh.
Do you think I'm ready for this? You're asking this now?
Yeah.
Oh, but one of my favorite comic book villains they've probably had in any of these movie adaptations, the Spot. Can we please talk about the Spot?
Yeah, the Spot. He seems like he'd be a joke villain, but he actually ends up being pretty sinister and drives the whole plot in motion.
Not gonna lie, when I first saw him, when I first heard his name was Spot, I'm like, I first made a teacher's pet reference, I think.
Of course. Well, because like obviously he makes a really good first impression with like his opening scene where like it seems like he doesn't know what he's doing, and we get the classic ATM machine joke, and then like they have so much fun with his portals like for the fight scene, and it leads to like a lot of really funny visual gags of them like getting thrown around all over the city, and them fighting like in front of the kids, and then being like, I don't think I want this costume anymore because it looks kind of lame the way they're fighting. And oh my gosh, the freaking banter that Miles has with his dad, but when his dad doesn't know that it's him as Spider-Man, like, oh, I thought that was a fun way to like carry on their sort of mutual understanding from the first film too. I'm glad that wasn't something that was just forgotten about, because that led to a lot of really funny moments too. Like, oh, you're just like my son. What?
Yeah, of course they reframed it. This next movie is also just as much a Gwen's movie as it is Miles. In fact, it starts with her out there.
I would argue that Gwen is almost kind of the main protagonist, and in a way, it kind of would explain something that happens later. But like, you know, again, like we'll talk about that.
Right.
You'll see what I mean. But and you know, I think I speak for most people when I say Haley Steinfeld is amazing and continues to be awesome in this.
Put her in a movie and it becomes 5 times better.
She's becoming the next J.K. Simmons, where it's like as long as she's in a movie, like she immediately makes any scene better.
Right,
For sure.
And but I think what's really interesting about the spot is like you guys were talking about that with him feeling like a joke, but then like he has like character development. Weirdly enough, like I love when villains get character development in movies because like that's so rare, and like by the end he actually becomes like this horrifying eldritch monster. And I was really sad that he like just dropped off for like the rest of the film, because it's like I understand why they had to do that from a narrative purpose, but man, I just it is killing me to see what they do with him in the next movie. Like that's the thing that is gonna like be the hardest for me to wait for, because there's so much potential there.
So Spot's a villain. Spot's a villain who starts off as a complete joke, then eventually evolves into something legitimately threatening. Basically, he's the equivalent to Chip Whistler from Big City Greens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or even Plankton for the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess if you include like the first 3 seasons of the show and like going in with that knowledge, which I mean, come on, like it would be kind of weird to go into the SpongeBob movie blind.
Right. Right. But anyway, they had this setup, and the ending is kind of an Empire Strikes Back type cliffhanger where they're trying to keep you on your toes for their next duration.
It's also kind of a Return of the King ending because it never ends.
Right?
Yeah.
Fake outs.
It's funny how you bring up the Empire Strikes Back, because when we do talk about the ending, I have a little bit of a comparison to make about that.
Right.
Okay, you go ahead. You go ahead, Jared.
Right,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of that stuff, and I think it's probably my only legitimate complaint in my head. I was like, okay, just end already. We get it. This is a good cutoff.
I do want to talk about a few more of the other characters before I really dig into that, because I feel that is something I do have some thoughts on. But I want to talk about some of the other guys, like Hobie is probably the GOAT of this. He's probably my favorite character in this movie. Is Hobie, because like his introduction, like first of all, like so memorable. Him just like breaking through with the like guitar riff, like that lets you know everything you need to know about him.
Yeah,
all the
Hobie,
way.
he's my favorite too because I picked up the guitar.
And my roommate Zach, he talked to me when we were watching this movie. When Hobie first came out, he was like, I thought I was going to hate this character because it seemed like he was going to be some like really annoying anarchist guy. But then like as his dialogue kept going, he realized that the way he was like talking about everything, like it was all completely being ironic, because he had lines like, I don't believe in comedy. I also don't believe in consistency. He's like, oh, that's literally just me when I'm joking about like destroying the system, because he's clearly just doing it to be a prick, and that's really fun.
Right, he's sort of like the modern day edgelords who try to pretend to be postmodern when really they're just being self-contradictory. And he's voiced by the guy from Get Out.
Yeah, Daniel Kaluuya. Oh yeah, and he was talking about how like the way like Daniel Kaluuya speaks is very authentic to the way like that sort of like culture of England talks, like that sort of slang. Like they clearly did their research there, because like Zach said, like he knows people who talk exactly like that, and it was a nice touch how they had like some of his slang moments, like it's all Scooby-Doo to me, mate, and they explained like what it actually means in a little text box in the corner.
Yeah, I've heard that. It's sort of the Black British slang, but is also kind of like Cockney slang from the Victorian times.
You know, the way you just said, like, it looks like Scooby-Doo, it kind of reminds me of a line from the B movie, where, like, they have B Larry King, but they're like, hey, you know they have a Larry King in the human world? Where they just keep explaining, hey, this is like just like in the human world. I'm like, that's what it's kind of reminding me of a little bit.
kind of. I suppose like some slang like bleeds over into other universes. It's not all gonna be different.
Yeah.
Of course, like he ended up having the really like he was like on Miles' side the entire time, and like when like Miles was like almost about to rise up against them, they're like Hobie, stop egging him on. Or no, he was something like Hobie, you're making him angry, and then he was like good. Something like that. It was like, yeah, he absolutely knows what he's doing. Like he is seeing this like for like the sham it is like from the very beginning, and like he's just seeing this as an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, so they amped it up, they got done. But what is the big problem, Jackson? Is this a good time to drop your fatal flaw with it?
Yeah, okay. So the ending, when the film came to an end, when I saw the credits, I was kind of shocked. I'm like, wait a minute, that's it? They're ending right there? But I'm like, okay, here's the thing. Now, I know The Empire Strikes Back also ended on a cliffhanger, but this is what it felt like to me. Imagine if The Empire Strikes Back ended right before Luke Skywalker fought Darth Vader. That's what this feels like to me.
It definitely, yeah, there's definitely like a sense of, like, okay, to put into perspective, the original cut of this movie ended like on the punching bag being punched, and then just like cuts to black, and that was it. When that was what they showed to test audiences, they booed at that. So 6 weeks before the movie released, and this was actually something that was revealed very recently, they added that final scene of Gwen and all the other spider people on the rooftop like gathered together and like swinging away, and like they did that to fix it, and that they did that in the span of 6 weeks, which, not speaking too much to like the crunching on the animators, like, obviously that's bad. So
it's a thing. Please. They talk about it with Spider-Verse, but I'm like, they all did it. At least Spider-Verse was honest about it.
Yeah, it's just I really hope that they don't do that again for the next movie. But my point is, it's like they had to like do that, and to an extent, I do think that made it a little bit better, 'cause if you go in with the idea of like Gwen is supposed to be more of the main character, and her arc like sort of it starts at the beginning of her being not open to other people and closed off, like quitting the band and only wanting to do things herself, and then it ends with her gathering all the people together and like going out to save Miles, and like that sort of completes her arc like there. So if you take it that way, it makes it a little easier for me to stomach the ending. And plus also the fact that entire scene of Miles being in the wrong universe and all the little clues starting to add up and the tension building is so masterfully done, and it made me like so uneasy, and like my hair stand on end, like there is something not right here, like there's something uncanny about this place.
And that was a good twist.
And you can even and it's something that you can even catch if like you pay attention to the computer, like right as he's being teleported, because it says what universe he's going to. Like they don't lie.
Oh, funny you mentioned another thing about going to the other universe, because you know how it was raining in that scene, like
yeah.
So funny thing, when I went to see this on the big screen, like the rain was extremely loud. I mean extremely loud, and like when the movie was over, when we got back outside, storm clouds were just leaving, and I was I'm like, wait a minute, was it? It was actually raining. I'm like. It was actually raining. I'm like, I had no idea. Like when we first got in there, it looked fine. It was really nice out, but I'm like, wow. I guess the rain kind of added to the scene a little bit. Like, who knew?
Talk about a 4D experience.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yep. So yeah, for me, Spider-Verse, bit of a downgrade, but still worth all the praise. Still got a lot of the awards. Doubled the first one's gross.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it made more than all but one Marvel movie this year.
Look, I totally understand like any qualms that people have with like the way it ends. It's like, yeah, that I totally do get it, but at the same time, like everything like leading up to it, and especially that entire chase sequence of all the spider people after Miles, and the way that they actually make it believable, the way Miles manages to avoid all of them, in the same way that they somehow make it believable that Poe is able to go up against Tai Lung despite only having trained for a few days, and is really well done storytelling. And there's a reason everybody quotes that, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing," because like that was just like that was destined to be iconic. Like they knew what they were doing with that, the way they framed that, and just yeah, like the fact that it is like so visually striking and just like demands your attention, and like the characters are all like written so well and like so adult in comparison to like what we're used to with like most mainstream animated films. And this is like one of the only superhero movies like I actually enjoy that's come out lately. Like the only other one I could think of is Guardians 3, which happened to be the movie that outgrows Across the Spider-Verse, funnily enough.
Yep. But hey, that's a massive W for Spider-Verse if it was able to make the top 10 this year.
For sure.
So I do hope that when Beyond comes out, I hope that they give it plenty of time to cook, because I remember when we all thought it was coming out this year. Spoiler alert, Haley Steinfeld said in an interview, "Yeah, I don't even know what the story is. Like, we haven't recorded anything for it."
Right, and then there was the strike, and then there was the scandal. So yeah, they're definitely pushing it back.
We're not getting this bad boy for a while, and I am fine with that.
I
want them to take as long as they possibly need.
It would come out by the 10th anniversary of the first film, 2028.
I would be more than fine with that.
Same.
Yeah, I would too. So next one we move on to, the thing is, two of these I'm not sure if you've seen them all, so...
There's only one movie I haven't seen, but I'm fine with you guys talking about it.
I know that one. But I think Nimona would be the next most accessible, so...
Right.
Oh, yes. Recently released for free on YouTube, which a very bold choice on their part.
I think got 3 million views before takedown. That was pretty cool.
It got taken down?
Yeah, it was only a temporary thing for Oscar push.
No, fuck off.
But even so, even for that 1 week, it got 3 million views.
Still, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, people fell in love with this movie, and considering everything it had to go through to even be made, man.
I'm surprised.
Look,
if this movie can exist, then by all means, I think Coyote versus Acme can exist too.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Also, I don't consider this a Blue Sky movie. It was started by Blue Sky, but it was picked up by Annapurna. Calling Nimona a Disney movie or Blue Sky movie is like calling Vivo a DreamWorks movie.
Yeah, it gets a little muddied, the definition, if you try to do that. So it's like, it's better just to say what it ended with.
Hey, let's not forget, we contributed to the push to get this movie made.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we plugged it all the way back during Pixar Panic.
That feels weird to say that I had a hand in this movie coming out.
Yeah, nerds on the internet willed this movie into existence.
How time has flied.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 3 years ago. Jesus.
Yeah, Nimona is based on a graphic novel, but it's a somewhat loose adaptation. They keep the characters and the general idea the same, but change quite a bit.
Yeah. I think this is a very cool movie. It's not one of my favorites, but I think there is a lot to appreciate about it.
I'd say this movie is pretty metal.
Yeah. Yes, I was actually just gonna say that. I love the soundtrack a lot. I love, like, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but punk music is my jam, and this. It's been a while since we've had just like, why do you think Hobie is my favorite character? Like it's been a while since we have just like a punk animated film, and like this is like the closest we've gotten to that in a while, and it just like it embraces that. Even though like the time period is like, clearly they take a lot of liberties with that, which is fine, but even so, like they still like embrace like more grungy aspects of it to like help accentuate Nimona's personality.
I call this sort of aesthetic D&D fantasy, where it's whatever you want it to be, but with fantastical elements, sort of a combination.
I think really the driving force of Nimona has to be Nimona herself. I think she carries a lot of the emotional weight of this, funnily enough, and we like that. We like that when our title characters are the best part of their movies. Like, that is preferable to them being upstaged by a comic relief or whatever, and them just being kind of boring. But Nimona is a fun little gremlin who deserves a hug, and I think she is very, very fun here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like a redemption for Chloe Grace Moretz, who was in the Tom and Jerry movie. Yeah, she does good here.
Yeah, I did mention that before, because I said that Chloe Grace Moretz, when I was talking about that movie, like, I think she is a really good actress. Like, there's a reason she is, like, being pushed, like, into, like, the, like, forefront as much as she is, because she is a talented actress. And I think this movie accentuates that, and she 100% deserved that Annie Award for best vocal performance in a movie. I was very happy with that.
Get her and Haley Steinfeld in the same movie, and you'd have an instant hit.
Oh, they would be unstoppable. Oh my god!
That's what I'm thinking. That would be golden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I remember she was also Darby from My Friends Tinder and Pooh.
Really?
Yeah, she's been here for a while.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of like Scarlett Johansson and Drew Barrymore in the fact that I mostly know them as adults, but like I underestimate how long they've been acting for.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But still, this is pretty funny, and it's kind of interesting to sort of have Nimona start as the villain of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm sure some people will like throw in some Megamind comparisons, but I think she stands out from that because of the fact that she's a lot more chaotic with the way she's a villain. Like, she is not a mastermind by any means. All she wants to do is just like cause mayhem and destruction, because that is like the only time she's able to have any kind of fun.
Like, I think she even
the way the world
says all
views
she
her.
wants to do is just break things.
Yeah, we call that alignment chaotic evil. Megamind would be more lawful evil.
Yeah, because he plays by rules. Like, there are certain. Like, I actually just rewatched Megamind like today, in fact, because I was so disappointed in the way the sequel thing turned out. I was like, I think I'm just gonna watch the first movie instead and not watch something I'm clearly gonna not like.
Yeah, I get it.
You want, hey, Carrick, you want to know what my favorite part of Megamind always was? It was Minion's death scene. Like after he like gives like this big like dramatic death, like Megamind just goes, "What a drama queen!" Just throws it back to the water. He's fine.
He had you going, didn't he?
Yeah.
Don't give into it. He's got very. All right.
Now, anyway, back to Nimona. Again, I can kind of see sort of the Spider-Verse influence here.
Yeah, like, it's definitely one of those things where it's like, you could do that, but I'm happy to say that it does its own thing. I would compare its style more to Klaus from Netflix.
Yeah, Klaus, that's right.
Because, like, Klaus is actually a hand-drawn movie, but it comes off, like, as 3D with, like, the way they do the painting. And this is a 3D movie, but it comes off very much hand-drawn in the sense that they do a lot of smear frames, and, like, the characters are, like, they do a lot of expression work here that you would never see in any other, like, CG movie. Like, I would argue that like, Nimona especially, she's even more expressive than every character in Spider-Verse. And that, like, purely off of her face alone, which is insane. And they get away with that thanks to her shape-shifting powers. Oh my god, the shape-shifting powers. What a brilliant inclusion.
This is the strong point of animation, how they're able to get a shapeshifter.
That shit does not work in live action. That is why the Venom movies are... nobody actually thinks those movies are good, but they are, like, enjoyably bad. Because, like, Venom is a character that needs to be animated, because it just does not work in live action.
It takes all these crazy forms, the rhino, the whale, the flippin' dragon.
Like, it's basically she can transform into literally anything she wants to, and the form that we see throughout most of the movie, that's just something that she does, like, as a disguise for the most part. Like, we don't know what Nimona's quote unquote true form is. Like, we don't even know where she comes from, and I'm glad that they keep that ambiguous.
I just assume her natural form is the shark.
I'd like that.
Yeah. You know, before seeing this movie, like one of the scenes that I've seen shared the most is the shark dance scene.
Yeah.
And admittedly, at first that was a somewhat of a turnoff because it just reminded me of Katy Perry's halftime show.
Shark missed his cue.
but yeah, actually seeing how it's used in the movie, it's honestly one of my favorite scenes.
But would Nimona be able to stand up to the shark slayer? That's the true question. No, I agree with you on this. That being a very enjoyable scene because it makes you think, oh wow, they solved that conflict really quickly. Okay, yeah, let's just have fun with it. Let's watch this woman's career burn after we've canceled her. Which I wonder if that's what other people do in real life, like when they've successfully gotten away with that kind of thing. Like, I'm about to end this man's whole career.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about watching a character who's a shapeshifter is that, especially in animation, you can tell that it's the same character, even though they're a different animal. Like, this is kind of why I like the Wizard's Duel from The Sword of the Stone, when Merlin and Madman and Mint become different animals. Like, you can easily tell who is who.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite scenes too. It's like one of my top 10 favorite Disney moments because of the comedy.
I come back to that movie for that scene.
And I always love how even though Nimona becomes so many different things, you can easily tell that it's her. And I love seeing that done in animation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what the way that she smiles and the little eyeliner around her eyes, very very subtle hints.
I mean, the fact that she's always red is also kind of a giveaway.
I would say my personal favorite transformation of hers would be the weasel, because it leads to my favorite dialogue exchange in the movie, at least my favorite comedic one, between the two soldiers who are who are talking about how they got attacked by a weasel, and they're arguing if it's an otter or not, and it felt very red versus blue kind of Aqua Teen Hunger Force sort of vibe with the way that they were conversing, and the fact that it all culminates in her biting through the guy's cast. It's jeez, that is brutal.
Yeah, remember, they do have big teeth and they don't wear out, so they can bite that hard.
Oh, I can see why you thought that. A common misconception.
And although if I had to choose one of my other favorite characters in the movie, it'd have to be that jerky guard who's voiced by Beck Bennett. He's a hilarious jerk.
Oh, Todd?
Beck Bennett, Thaddeus, I believe his name is. And Beck Bennett is very good at playing jerks in such a way that they become enjoyable. Just because of the way his personality is. He's a lot like Jason Mantzoukas in that regard. Most people know him from Invincible and Close Enough. And we're just his voice just naturally suits. Oh, and also Dionysus from that recent Percy Jackson show. He's saying awful things, but my God, just the way he says it just makes it so funny and enjoyable.
Right.
And I gotta hand it to Ballister as well for being a fun foil to Nimona's antics as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And having a constant back and forth of whether to trust her or not. And
remember, he starts off the film, Nimona kind of just hijacks the story, which is totally on brand for her.
Yeah, she literally steals the show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I love how her resume is just drawings of her stabbing things.
I will say, when it comes to other characters, I'm not as big a fan of the villain to this movie, because it didn't feel as developed as other parts of the story, and just I don't her motivation just kind of feels thrown together, and the way that she gets out of being quote unquote canceled by everybody, the way she does it, it feels very first draft kind of way that they did it, because I feel not many people would believe her because like she's claiming that Nimona was like transformed into her in the video, but at the same time, like we clearly saw her stabbing the dude, and then like Nimona like transforming after that. So like, are there two Nimonas? Like, can't she clone herself now? Like, what the heck?
That's
She
true.
literally says like, "That looks like me. It sounds like me, but it's not me." Honestly, I fear that with the tide of generative AI, that might be more of a backpedaling defense.
Honestly, like that would be a plausible thing now.
Especially with live actual court cases about deepfake images.
Yeah, but yeah, like the way that like the director turns everyone back on her side, it did feel a little too easy.
Yeah, like that is like the fact that it's everybody. Like I feel like it would have. They should have done it like the way The Boys did, where like The Boys, the way that they treat the internet is one of the most like realistic depictions of it, because like they do like a lot of cancel culture stuff, since the superheroes are celebrities in that universe. And when Homelander like he's like recorded saying terrible stuff, not everybody is against him. It's like it's a very like split down the middle. Like it's riots are started like between people who are on his side and people who are on Starlight's side. And I feel like that would have made a lot more sense if like it caused like actual chaos in the city of people not knowing who to trust anymore.
Yeah,
like,
not to mention a lot of this information is still spread anonymously, so they would have no way to know who was on whose side.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like that one definitely gave. It kind of reminded me that this movie was in development hell. Like that was one of the only parts of it where it reminded me of that aspect of this movie's production history. So, I guess not much you can really do about it. Yeah. It's made up for, luckily, by the climax being surprisingly one of the most emotionally like powerful movie like moments from an animated film I've seen in
I was
a really long time.
Big twist.
When I saw Nimona turn into that huge dark beast, I'm like, man, that's pretty heavy. And also when it looks like Bette Bennett's character was killed, but then I saw him at the end of the film, I'm like, he survived. I'm like, how?
But by the power of being a PG film.
I guess so.
I was surprised this wasn't a PG-13 movie, honestly, because
with the kiss.
Yeah, like there's like very colorful language in this movie, and again, the climax, like trigger warning for those who might be upset by this kind of thing, but like this is a heavy topic, and I think we do need to discuss it. She tries to kill herself in this movie, and she comes really close to doing it.
They don't beat around the bush about it either.
No.
They use the pretty distinct language that she is going to do it.
And there's precedence earlier in the film. Because she says, I don't know what hurts more, the fact that everyone wants to stab me in the heart, or the fact that sometimes I'll let them.
Yeah, she froze up when that little girl was like terrified of her, because that whole fight scene. That was definitely my favorite fight scene in the whole movie, especially the way that they use the banana splits. Oh, yeah. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't be surprised if that's an homage also to Chloe Grace Moretz's other film role she's most famous for in Kick-Ass, because that one of the fight scenes uses that song as well. Again, punk rock, love it, and a very fun fight scene. And then it all immediately closes in, and she tries to comfort this little girl, but then the girl's scared of her because she sees her as a monster, and that makes Nimona completely frozen, and Ballister has to come in and save her right after she got done saving him. And and then it leads to the climax, and that he has to do it again to just embrace her and make her remind her that she doesn't have there are people that care about her. And when people see this, it changes their minds about her. Seeing such an intense moment makes them realize why are we doing this? This is the monster that we've been after. She's just a scared little teenager.
For the ideas of the misunderstandings and trying to not judge a book by its cover.
Are we the baddies?
Exact. But of course, like the director is not swayed by this, and it leads to a little Iron Giant moment that I wasn't too. I was surprised by the trying to off herself before, like that was very powerful. I wasn't as surprised, by the sacrifice thing, because that's in a lot of kids movies, but I still really liked it because like the presentation was very intense, and I quite liked the eulogy afterwards.
Right.
And
I genuinely didn't know if she was gonna come back after that, because you know how these movies kind of go sometimes, but considering what we had just seen, it legitimately could have gone either way. And I think the way that they did kind of clarify that at the end, like that was the perfect way to end it.
That
Right.
they could not have
ambiguous.
ended this movie on a more fitting note.
Yeah,
Oh my god, that was so funny.
Keep it ambiguous. Is it all in his head? Is he just imagining things?
Them coming even closer to saying an actual curse word than Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Yes, this feels very Nimona. This is the most Nimona way they could have ended this movie.
Right.
And I think she is alive because the director has like mentioned that they are interested in doing other like movies at some point in the future.
I think she survived in the comic too, so
It would be a little weird to do a Nimona sequel without Nimona.
True.
right.
One more thing before we move on, just one piece of criticism. It's not necessarily with the movie, and it's more with Netflix. Netflix, your sound engineering is horrible. Like
This is
you were
why
talking about
Gen Z
that fight
uses
scene.
subtitles.
Carrick, you were talking about that fight scene earlier. It was
Yeah.
a cool scene. I couldn't tell what anyone was saying because the music and the sound effects were completely drowning it out. I had the same problem with My Father's Dragon. Good movie. I wish I could hear what they were saying.
That's a shame.
Again, this is why Gen Z uses subtitles.
I personally definitely like to normalize subtitles in my viewing experiences because audio leveling has always been sort of an issue. Like I noticed that when watching Mandalorian as well. Like very good show. They do not know how to make it to where you can just keep it at a consistent volume throughout. Because like during the dialogue scenes, it's like a and a big action scene. Oh my gosh, it's that piece. Everyone's really loud. It's like, oh my god, I have to get the remote again. Jeez, I don't want to wake up my neighbors.
It reminds me of that one Family Guy cutaway where Stewie was trying to keep himself awake by keeping the TV on like the hotel channel, where it's like one commercial is always too quiet and the next one is just blaring loud.
Yeah, so we have two. I think one would be
Also,
best.
Also, shout out to Nimona for having proper LGBTQ representation. We like that in our kids movies.
Yeah, where
Right.
they don't shove it under the rug. They make it clear from the beginning, and it's part of the character.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and while we're on the subject, I liked Ambrosius.
Yeah, I was gonna feel bad if we didn't at least mention Ambrosius once,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
during
he
this
was cool.
discussion.
You know, I like I like the dilemma he has to go through. You know, he saw his boyfriend potentially commit a crime. He doesn't know what's real. He wants to be on his side, and he also knows him best, so he's the clear one to lead. The hunt. Like I think the line that gives it away is he doesn't like freeform jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Very qualified.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have two coming up, but I think one would be best saved for last. And Nick and I are the only ones I know who've seen it. So, Boy and the Heron, we go.
Let it be known, I tried, okay? I tried my absolute damnedest to watch this movie. I couldn't find it anywhere. I tried to watch it when it was released in theaters, but it wasn't available in my city, and I didn't have time to, like, travel to the other city that's closest to me where they were airing it. So, like, I'm sorry, everybody, but I promise next time we do a podcast, I promise I will have seen the movie by then, and I will give my brief thoughts on it because I really do want to see this movie.
Right, I did. I was lucky to get it at my local multiplex. I didn't even have to go out of my way.
Yeah, same. And I watched it well after the fact, so I was surprised it was still in the theaters.
Yeah. I went to TIFF. This will be topical also for the next film, the Toronto International Festival. I tried to get this one because it was opening and it was a prestigious honor, but alas, I could not. So yeah, I saw The Boy and the Heron, and it's pretty good. I wouldn't necessarily rank it high among the Miyazaki works, but it is a pretty solid, pretty immersive film, and it's pretty typical. If you've seen Spirited Away, it's kind of in that vein. Boy travels to mystical world.
Yeah, funny enough, Spirited Away is literally the only other Miyazaki film I've seen, and yeah, they're very similar in style.
And it's the only one that won the Oscars. So.
That's true. For now.
Right. Miyazaki was set to retire, but he said at TIFF that reports of his retirement were greatly exaggerated.
Oh man, I would feel so bad for his son if the reason his dad came out of retirement was because my directorial debut was so awful.
Oh, yeah, you're going know which.
Yeah, because like everybody just hated that movie, and to the point where his dad was like, "Okay, you know what, son? Let your old man show you how it's done."
Right. Unlike Spirited Away, this one is tied into, which felt a little more timeless. This one is distinctly a period piece, a World War II thing.
Mm.
It ties in with a novel called How Do You Live, but that is not a distinct adaptation. At first, I was a little miffed they changed How You Live to Boy and the Heron, because I'm like, oh, you're just doing The Great Mouse Detective again. A little on the nose, don't you think?
No.
But after having actually seen the movie, I'm like, okay, it's not a straight adaptation. It's they're using the book as a springboard. And then they had the Gray Heron show up, and everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because this movie can be really sweet, but also really scary, and it changes tones really quick.
Even though I haven't seen the movie, a big reason why when the advertising for it came out, and I was like, "Oh man, I really need to see this," was when I heard Robert Pattinson's character open his mouth, and I was like, "Jesus, that's Robert Pattinson's voice! How did he do that?" Like,
yeah,
we love it when. We love normalizing celebrities actually doing voices when voice acting in movies.
Right, and actually the English credits, they do have a lot of pretty high veteran actual voice actors. They had Debbie Dayberry and Stephanie Shea in the credits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they got billed alongside the main actors.
Right.
Probably because Japan actually respects its voice actors. But, you know, that's a topic for another day.
Right. This one's a little bit more on the coming of age drama. It's the story about reconnecting with family and making things work, but it's all done with some very tripped out imagery. The big scene, the one I really liked, was when they're looking up at the stars and they're making the star babies.
Star babies. That got ruined. That concept has been ruined by Wish. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but this one does it right. It talks about their life cycle and makes it feel more realized.
Yeah, think less Wish, more Mario Galaxy.
Thank you. Okay, Lumas. Cool.
Yeah, Lumas. They're little Lumas. Mm-hmm.
Luma, eh?
And they're nice little squishes. And that one just warmed my heart, and I was like, yep, this is a Miyazaki.
Well, like, let me just say, for Studio Ghibli, it's definitely one of those. For what I've seen from it, it's the studio that I more respect than I do that I'm like a fan of it. Although I really do love Spirited Away. Like Spirited Away, like I think I really like Spirited Away.
Fair enough. That's the one that I've talked about. That's the one that most people say, even people who aren't really into anime, say, yeah, that one's pretty good.
My favorite is still Kiki's Delivery Service.
I was actually glad I watched all of Miyazaki's movies before this. The last one I watched was another similar film to this. It's called Ponyo.
I remember the advertising for that one.
Yeah, Ponyo is basically like The Little Mermaid, except she's not a mermaid, she's a fish. And there's a little kid now. basically just takes the general outline of the story and nothing else.
Yeah, I do want to see more Miyazaki. Maybe start with something lighthearted like Kiki or Ponyo or Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah, but the climax of this movie kind of reminded me of Ponyo, because they had everything chasing him at the end, kind of like Wonderland. But yeah, the big climactic chase scene was basically taken right out of Ponyo.
I'll be honest, the one scene I didn't really get was when the main character hit himself with a rock. Like, I'm assuming it was just an excuse to not have to go back to the school, but I'm like, that's a little extreme, don't you think?
Yeah, I just chalked it up to being a kid during this time, but yeah, that is a little extreme.
Yeah, like I watched that scene, I'm like, the fuck are you doing?
The measures we take to get out of math.
Right. They talk about Ghibli being slow and a little bit calmer pace, but Miyazaki said this is deliberate. It's meant to build atmosphere, get into character moments. Mm-hmm. So he's letting the filler speak for itself. I read a book somewhere, I forget where, but he was going on about the constellations and how he doesn't look at the stars, but the space between. And the space between with the boy and the heron is important because you get to absorb the emotions of the characters.
Right.
I don't know if it really makes sense to explain it, but you can kind of see it.
I can visualize it.
Yeah.
So it's all about soaking in and getting sort of emotional.
I really wish I could talk about this movie more. I only saw it the one time in the theaters, and right now my mind is currently being taken up by the one film we haven't talked about. So
right, and that's gonna be a fun one. But yeah, The Boy and the Heron is something I really do need to rewatch because I myself saw it a while ago. But it was something I was glad I made the effort to go see in a theater, and I did enjoy it for what it had to offer. It did win a few awards, like the Globe and the BAFTA. So if there is an upset, it will be this one.
Most likely.
Yeah. Now we go on to the final film, the one I was most enthusiastic about, because I saw it through TIFF, Robot Dreams, and you're never going to guess who I sat next to watching this movie.
Their movie sucks?
Yes, I saw it with Adam from YMS.
Oh,
wow.
So, I guess you can guess it.
Yeah, there's a picture on my Twitter.
That's
I remember
crazy.
Yeah, but
Like,
we just happened to be seated right next to each other.
Like, what was it like?
It was pretty fun. He was a nice dude.
Aw.
That's cool.
So you have a picture with him, you have a picture with me. Man, you're just in pictures
so many
with
celebrities.
so many awesome people.
Yeah. Robot Dreams, if you don't know, is based on a graphic novel with no words.
Oh boy, why did you guys have to destroy me with this one?
I know, it sucks you in with you're like, oh, this is gonna be a happy, fun little movie. We can all sing this all up, but then, boom, blindsides you.
And then you realize why the movie is called Robot Dreams, and once that like clicks in your head, you're like, oh my god.
Right. Berger is a director who's done a lot of visual stuff. One of his last movies, Blancanieves, was also a silent film.
Yeah, I remember when the nominees were announced, the creators for Robot Dreams, like, they posted their reaction to the nomination on Twitter, and that was honestly like one of the most wholesome things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I love
for a film that hasn't even been released in the West to get nominated.
Well, yeah, it's not gonna win, but it's nice that it got nominated.
It had a really good push and really nice campaign. This is sort of pretty nice. It's set in an alternate universe New York where everyone's an animal. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's an Animal Crossing movie. Who knew?
Okay, now one thing I'm curious about, and I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. Do you think the characters are actually incapable of talking, or do you think that they communicate to each other just like off screen?
I think it's a stylistic choice. I think in universe they talk, but they just don't show it to us.
That probably is more likely since they have phones, and you're not going to be able to do hand gestures across phone lines.
Right.
Right. This song reminded me why I love September by Earth, Wind, and Fire so much.
Yes, kind of like Fantasia, where they communicate through the music.
I'm never going to be able to listen to that song the same way again after this movie.
Right. It's a song all about nostalgia and love and loss.
Right.
I'm only going to be thinking about this movie's cover of it through a theremin.
Oh yeah, that
was clever.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that they used a theremin for the robot whistling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because that's definitely what it came off
similar.
As. Yeah. Like, as far as the timeline, I'm assuming it's like late 80s, early 90s, because the raccoon has a Daryl Strawberry bobblehead.
Yes, yeah. It is set in 1980s Manhattan. You are correct.
Yeah, pretty firmly there. I'd say like 1987. That's where I put it.
Okay.
Wait, Daryl Strawberry?
Yeah, he was a baseball player. He was in The Simpsons.
Yeah, Daryl.
But there was no Daryl in HR.
Yeah, but I thought that a lot of the fun moments and the way it was shot was pretty cool because it's like a dream. You have these moments, you had the characters visioning things and rushing to each other, but then boom, snap back to reality.
Oh God,
the ending of that first dream sequence was just the biggest gut punch.
Yeah,
okay.
Especially when you see what it's actually cutting to.
I'm just very glad that this robot doesn't feel pain or anything, because it would have made that scene a lot more horrifying.
Yeah.
But to first, I want to get into what scene destroyed me was the first scene of the movie. I was like, oh, that's gonna be this kind of movie, isn't it? Where we see this very low. His name is just Dog, by the way. So don't question it. Where Dog is just living by himself, playing a co-op game by himself, and has nothing but microwave meals in his freezer, and he's just staring at the microwave, watching it cook, and he's just in this super drab, just dark apartment. Oh, I hate how real that is. It made me uncomfortable how real that was. It's weird how that makes me more uncomfortable than gore for some reason. I could take a gory movie, but when you're unfathomably real and you capture that, it's in a way there are scenes from Smiling Friends that are similar to that, where it's not when they get grotesque with the animation, but more so the scenes where it's they're kind of talking over each other and mumbling their words. I'm oh, that's so real. That is so accurate to real life, and they capture that perfectly here, and it makes you immediately sympathize with Dog and wanting to form a bond, and it leads into the central the setup very, very well. I like that a lot.
Yeah, you just roll with it. You just accept that this is a world where you can just build a robot and make friends and have fun.
Literally making friends.
Yes.
I assumed that the whole movie was just going to be a sort of slice of life thing, seeing the fun little escapades Dog and Robot get up to, and maybe they'll learn some lessons together. But it wasn't that. It was not that at all.
One thing I appreciate is just it goes to great lengths to show just how much Dog and Robot cherish their friendship. Not just the scenes where September's playing in the background, but also the scenes where he's trying to get Robot out of the beach. He tries, scaling the fence, gets caught by the cops, tries cutting the lock. That doesn't work. Actually goes to City Hall to try and get a permit to enter the beach and gets denied. He's taking the legal and the illegal routes. That's how you know that, he means
that is the one minor nitpick I have with the movie. It doesn't ruin it or anything for me, but it's the fact that other people very, very easily got into the beach by other means. It makes me kind of wonder, did Dog ever consider other options? It just like I feel like he might have given up a bit too quickly.
When you're panicked and tense, you don't tend to think straight. I know from experience.
But it's like it's not enough to like say that it takes the score down a bit for me. But I was like, when I realized that, I was like, okay, that's a little silly, but whatever.
One scene that destroyed me also was when the dog gets the bird. And they have this fun, but then within 3 days, she goes to Europe. That killed me because I've lived that.
Oh, man.
It is so hard for some people, like, to understand, like, in a relationship where, like, to you, it may seem like a fun little fling, like oh, yeah, we just, like, that was a nice little experience, but obviously, like, time for me to move on. I can't be tied down to just one area. But you don't realize how much you truly meant to the other person who doesn't have that same freedom as you to just like go wherever. And like it kind of like, I don't know if it's intentional, but like the fact that nobody talks in this movie, it kind of speaks to one of like the themes of like communication. Like the fact that nobody talks kind of just exemplifies the idea that with miscommunication like that leads to very real moments like that a lot of people can relate to. Like I myself had a very similar experience where I met a very cool person at a concert that I went to, and like we had a very fun time there, and like I got their number, but after that, like I tried getting in touch with them, but like it's like they don't really respond as like to any of my texts like that. And if they do respond to a text, it's like a month after I sent it. So it's like, I was kind of hoping like a bond was formed there, but just like they either weren't feeling it or just like too busy to be able to remember. So it's like it happens, but like it sucks when it does. But like all you can do is move on, and this movie is all about like moving on and accepting that. And I love that she doesn't come back, by the way. Like that makes it even more realistic and drives that point home further. If she did come back, I feel it would have like lessened the impact.
Definitely. Also, another thing, the robot on the beach and this movie being Robot Dreams with him rusting, it made me think of another thing related to sleep. Sleep paralysis.
Oh boy. I've never experienced it myself, but I have heard many a tale.
I've heard about it a few times. It really sucks because you know you're awake, but you can't move and you can't do anything. So the best thing to do is just ride it out.
Yeah, my younger brother, he told me he had sleep paralysis like for 5 minutes one time. He said it was like the most terrifying 5 minutes of his life because you're just there, you're aware, but you can't do anything.
Right.
And, don't forget the demons.
I would have loved to have the bird's nest on me during that time. That would have been pretty nice.
Oh, that bird scene was so sweet.
The bird scene is my favorite movie scene in the movie.
I thought it was fun how they put Danny Boy in the credits, even though it's public domain. They just probably did that as a formality.
Probably.
Yeah. I love that bird's personality. Like she, the instant bond like she formed with Robot, and like one of the like closest vocalizations we get in the movie is her like little bird tweet and her like going ta-da, but like in bird tweet form. Like, oh, that is so adorable.
Probably use like a Vocaloid or something for that.
Right.
And she has the kids, and he even helps like one of them with during his flying lessons, and then they give him a nice little choir performance before like heading out.
Yeah. And the one bird wants to stay behind, but Robot tells him he has to go be with his family. That broke my heart, man.
It mirrors how Robot told Dog to leave like on that night. Like he didn't want him to like be stuck at the beach with him.
Right. And it went some places. I've heard some people say this is better. This would have been better as a short, like as a 40-minute. While that might be true, I also felt like it didn't outstay itself. It focused just long enough on all its vignettes.
Right.
Oh yeah, like it's you have to go into it knowing it's a slice of life movie, and I think like as long as you have that mindset, it'll be very easy to enjoy it.
I've seen some slower stuff and some slice of life anime, so I was kind of appreciative of that.
So let me issue this challenge to Moana, because I know about the story of how its sequel was supposed to be a series at first, like exclusive to Disney Plus, and now they're just packaging it all together. If they can somehow like have that same sort of atmosphere as an indie film and like make it feel like slice of life, which I know for a fact they are not going to do, but if they do, then I will give it some credit, but I know they won't. So that is why I'm putting that out there.
Packaging episodes from a spin-off TV series and then making it into a movie. Where have I heard this before?
Disney.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, with Robot Dreams, I was hooked on it because they looked through things, and it didn't end up the way I thought it would. It went a different path than I thought it would take.
It's a
This is how you
ending.
this is how you subvert expectations.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure how I feel about him getting another robot. Like, I wonder if, like, maybe it should have been, like, him, like, getting an actual, making an actual friend. But at the same time, robots in this world have sentience. So, like, it's not really the same as people who are, like, married to their anime body pillows, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, whatever. Just,
Maybe it's a rebound. He's still recouping. That's
yeah, because that's another instance of where I'm like coming down like on the movie's level, and clearly what it's trying to get across is the importance of moving on and accepting that people, like, it's okay for people to form new relationships, and like, you know, as long as they're like fulfilling. And who knows, maybe at some point they will like accidentally run into each other, and but if that does happen, they can like still be able to acknowledge that, hey, even though we have new like friends, like we formed new relationships, that doesn't dampen the bond that we shared at the very beginning. And it's like that was still real. Yeah, we always have September.
Oh god,
yeah.
The scene, that final dream.
Oh my god, that was the one that broke me.
Like, seriously, the whole movie, like, from that very first dream, you're kind of questioning, you know, what's actually real. And a lot of times they make it kind of obvious, like with a dog's dream about being friends with the snowman.
Oh, yeah.
But when he was chasing after Dog and they were about to, you know, reconnect, and then it turns out that was a dream too.
It seemed like that was the direction they were gonna go, and especially when Rascal like came up from behind, like you assume, this is probably gonna lead to a nice little get together between the four of them where they all connect, and then like maybe they'll like move on from there. But no, we don't even get that. That really surprised me.
Yeah.
Good on you, movie, for like. I have not been surprised by an animated movie like this in so like this consistently so long. Like Nimona, like it only surprised me with like that one scene, and also the whole like director convincing everybody, but that's more a case of half-baked writing. but with this movie, like all of the moments that like took me off guard, I felt like it was in a good way because it serviced the story, and like it's like themes of like being as like close to reality as possible, despite the fact that it's like all a bunch of animals and like robots happen to exist in this world.
Yeah, sometimes the most real stories are the most outlandish.
I'm looking at you, BoJack Horseman, also about animals. I think there was a robot in there at some point too.
Yeah, I think you're right. But
there was a silent episode.
Yeah.
The fish out of water.
Yeah, and that one had a similar ending to Nimona. The way it just cuts off before he swears.
Yeah, very YouTube style editing. I even ended one of my own video essays with a similar joke, where my character is like surprised by Bill Cipher appearing right behind him, and he goes, "What the fuck?" and it just ends.
Yep. But they didn't do that. They have a few vocal sound effects. I'm not sure, but I think I recognized a few people credited just for doing the grunts and whistles.
Oh yeah, it doesn't like show any of that in the Wikipedia page.
No, but it's probably for the best. I mean, the whole thing is supposed to be about the vision and seeing the story progress.
Oh wait, no, I just looked up the IMDb. I know who it is now. Do you want me to say?
Sure.
So Dog and Robot actually have the same voice actor, and it's his name is Ivan Labanda.
Oh yeah, this is a French movie. They didn't even need to dub it.
Yeah. So, I don't know any of the other things he's been in. The one of them is an animated film called Mummy, I'm a Zombie. So,
Oh dear. Yeah, but Pablo Berger, he's the real deal. He's a legit director, and he was able to bring all this out and do this stuff. Blanca Nieves is very similar in terms of it being silent. That's more of a black and white version of Snow White set in Spain. And it has a lot of similar ideas about this, and it also combines tragedy with comedy.
yeah, very, very seamlessly at that.
But he went to animation after he read the book this was based on,
Cool.
and he said, and it really clicked with him.
Very glad they made it animated.
Yep.
Oh God, imagine this in live action.
It would probably look something like If.
Yeah, probably.
What's really funny about this movie though is that it is technically a family film. Like you could watch this with your kids, except for one joke almost at the very, very beginning of the film that made me think this was going to be like a very different in tone film. When
The middle
like
finger.
yeah, the middle fingers. I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is a bit more adult than I thought it was. That's the only adult joke they tell in the entire movie. And so
Right.
like, oh, okay, I'm not sure why that was there. I guess it might be a cultural thing.
Yeah, it's something you can show your kids, but won't turn off adults.
Because like even Total Drama, like they had to censor the middle fingers in that show.
Right.
But they don't have to do that here because this is a movie.
By the way, I love it when like I love that trope of like the innocent newcomer thinks that a rude word or a rude gesture is actually a compliment.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
Coming to America is one of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies because of that trope.
And they also did that with Rowan Atkinson as Mr. Bean. Like at the end of the movie, he like is greeting someone and he gets flipped off, and he just goes, "Oh, I'll just flip everyone off. That must mean like greetings or something like that." And like when he's in like this car ride, he's just happily just holding up his two middle fingers to everyone later on. I was like, greetings to you too, greetings to you too. I'm like, I remember that. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yep, but this was a nice little short. It was a perfect capper for TIFF because I got on the plane the next morning and it was just nice to end my TIFF on such a high.
Oh, what did Adam think of the movie? Did he say?
Yeah, he gave it a 7.
Okay, that is really good for Adam.
Yeah, but he did say he enjoyed it and would be willing to watch it a second time.
Like if something can get above a 6 on his metric, that's it's really, really good.
Yeah, that's very nice, and he was laughing with me the whole time.
Aw. I guess lot of scenes that people could classify as their favorite depending on who you are. I could see people enjoying the Wizard of Oz sequence, because the music in that was actually like incredible.
Oh, that was awesome.
Like
Yeah,
that
I
was
love
like
that.
just like a really cool number.
Yeah.
And it kind of, you even saw like Dog's face like forming in like the flowers, like he's still thinking about his friend even in his fantasies.
Yep.
Yeah, like I gotta say though, the bit with the snowman is something that like surprised me when they were just like, okay, we're just gonna spend some time with this walking snowman. The whole time I was sitting there, I'm like, what? I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, this has gotta be a dream. This has gotta be a dream. I'm like, but they went on it for a long time. I'm
Yeah,
like, but then he wakes up like, okay, it's a dream. Now,
were you gonna be scared if it wasn't a dream?
Yeah, I was just gonna be like, what kind of world is this?
Yeah. That I think that was the longest dream sequence. It was just long enough to throw you off.
Right.
I think,
Yeah.
I think we can all like general consensus agree if this was a voiced film that Snowman would have had John Goodman's voice without question.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
totally.
Yeah, like he voiced Frosty in Frosty Returns.
Yeah, and also the Big Lebowski, like that parallel as well.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the fact that you can combine those two is what made me say John Goodman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it's funny that particular dream sequence starts with an ice cream truck going down the road in the middle of winter.
Yeah,
there's
that
a
was the
creepy
first thing.
thing.
That was the first thing
creepy
that made me feel weird.
Yeah, like when I saw that, I'm just like, okay, why is there an ice cream truck in the middle of winter? And then I saw that creepy guy driving. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah,
I need an adult.
Like the ice cream truck is one of those things where it's like, okay, maybe this is a dream, or maybe that's just a thing that happens.
Yeah.
Oh God, could you imagine if the Duck Girl was a dream?
Oh my god!
Like, geez, like have a little bit of heart, movie.
I think that would have devalued it.
Like, surely Dog has a little bit of riz.
Like, could you imagine if that Duck Girl was a dream? Like if she just made a Donald Duck quack sound that just woke us up. Could you imagine something like that route?
For what pops into my head is the hot dog episode from Regular Show when Mordecai is fantasizing with Margaret, but then Margaret turns into Rigby comes in as a giant hot dog. It's like, hey Mordecai, I'm gonna fix it.
Yeah, like that. Imagine if it went that way.
Yeah. God, can you imagine if the movie ended where the whole thing was Dog's dream and he just ends where he started? That to me.
Oh no!
Why do you do me like that?
That actually did cross my mind for a second. I was like, okay, please don't do this.
If they had done that, no joke, that would have ruined the whole movie.
Oh God!
Oh dear.
No.
It wasn't a dream. It was a simulation.
Yeah.
It was a simulation of a simulation inside another giant simulation.
At least it doesn't end like The Sopranos, where they just cut to black mid.
Please don't have the podcast end there.
No, maybe as a joke.
Right.
Maybe. we'll see.
Right.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Rascal, low key, best character in the movie. he is an absolute delight, and also kind of low key too. Even though what they do to Robot is terrible, I weirdly really like the father son dynamic of like the junk shop owner and like his little kid who's like into wrestling. It's like like ignoring the fact that they treat Robot like a piece of equipment and like that he doesn't matter at all. This is actually kind of a cute little bonding thing they have going, like when it comes to wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
No, that's pretty fun. It's the little things.
Yeah. It was like everyone has like humanized like aspects to them, except those anteaters. Those anteaters can go to hell. Oh my gosh.
Those guys suck.
Oh yeah.
Screw those guys.
Yeah.
Those guys are the worst.
Those are. I think those actually might be one of the like most unlikable like characters I've seen in any movie period, and just the fact that their scene is like so short and like it's just all concentrated just hate I feel towards them. It's like, wow, congratulations movie, you succeeded.
Yes. Right.
You made characters more unlikable than the entirety of the main character from Forspoken.
Oh yeah. Well, so yeah, I think that's pretty good. We had a pretty solid class this year.
Yes, I would be fine with any one of these guys winning.
Yeah.
No, actually, no, I lied. I would prefer Spider-Verse to win, but no, I do like all the other movies.
Yeah, I'd be okay with this. Spider-Verse is the one that I think will win, but I could honestly say just flip a coin.
Right. Yeah, like Spider-Verse is the one I expect to win. Nimona is the one that I want to win, just because of everything it went through. And Robot Dreams better get seen by a lot of people when it gets released in the West.
Did it even get nominated for a foreign film?
Nope.
Man, Oscars! Why do you not have a category for best voice performance? Normalize that.
Yeah, SAG Screen Actors Guild 2. You see, when you're an actor on stage, you get costumes, director, co-stars, lights. You get a lot of stuff to get into character. When you're recording, you don't get any of that. You get a booth and maybe a voice prompter if you're lucky, but you
possibly
just got
some images.
Yeah, but it's just those images to get you into character, so you gotta work it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, don't even get me started on how hard dubbing is too. Because like, sure, you get to see the scene in action, but you have to engineer your performance to like match up with the lip flaps, which is an entirely different mindset and like technique in voice acting. So, like, so please, for the love of God, how is James Earl Jones not nominated for his Darth Vader performance? Like, that's how you know it's a broken system.
Right, or Frank Oz for Yoda. They submitted stuff to Frank Oz, but the Academy just rejected them outright.
It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Oh well. Back in the positives.
But yeah, pretty good slate. 2023 overall was a pretty decent year for animation, except for Disney.
And Warner Brothers.
I'm gonna look it up so I can show it to you guys, but and you can like put it at the end of it. But there was a very fun Looney Tunes video describing like the 2023 films in a nutshell. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie or video. I'm sorry.
No, I would love to though. That's right up my alley.
But yeah, there's a particular one that here it is. It's the Thanksgiving box office, and actually no, I'll timestamp it and like send it to you guys.
Oh, geez.
Yep, but so yeah, it was nice talking with you again. Is this a good time to sign off?
Good time as any.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you for the next one. Catch you on the flip side.